it needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a black woman and hated because of my color.
Yeah.
In Caitlin's game that night against the Phoenix Mercury player Alyssa Thomas lodged her fist into Caitlin's neck in a play where no foul was called during the game.
What happens when one of basketball's greatest legends witnesses what she believes is unfair treatment toward one of the WNBA's brightest young stars? That question is fueling a growing controversy after Cheryl Miller's comments about Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark sent shockwaves throughout the basketball world. But before going further, consider this. Have you ever seen a professional athlete face the level of attention, criticism, and physical play that Caitlin Clark has experienced? According to Miller, what she witnessed during the Phoenix Mercury game changed her perspective on the league. Alyssa Thomas suddenly found herself at the center of intense scrutiny, while Clark once again became the focus of a league-wide debate. Miller understands these situations better than almost anyone. During her legendary playing career, she dominated against elite competition and often faced opponents who tried to challenge her physically when they could not match her basketball intelligence and skill. However, Miller emphasized one important point. She knows the difference between hard competition and actions that cross the line. Having competed at the highest level, she believes there is a clear distinction between tough defense and behavior that violates the spirit of the game. That is why her reaction attracted so much attention. In her view, what happened stood apart from normal competitive basketball and represented something she had rarely seen throughout decades connected to the sport. Those comments immediately ignited debate among fans, analysts, and former players. Many were stunned to hear such strong criticism from one of the most respected figures in basketball history. Yet Miller's reputation as a champion gave her words enormous credibility. As discussion spread across the sports world, one thing became clear. Her assessment had transformed a single incident into a much larger conversation about sportsmanship, player treatment, and the standards the league should uphold moving forward.
Seems to be something involving this girl, and there's an elevated level of physicality that obviously compromised her availability last season where she missed a few games. There is a palpable resentment towards this girl where you have people who are resenting of her star power and her cachet. And as a result, if they have an opportunity to go at her, they're going to take it. Now, Caitlin Clark is no innocent bystander.
When Cheryl Miller viewed the footage of Alyssa Thomas shoving Clark from behind while she was trying to deal with getting hit in the eye, she reacted immediately and forcefully. As one of the few figures in basketball history who truly understands elite-level competition, Miller recognized the difference between hard-nosed basketball and behavior that crosses the line. She believed Alyssa Thomas's actions raised serious questions about sportsmanship and competitive integrity. According to Miller, the timing of the shove made the situation even more troubling. Before we continue, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get back to the story. Cheryl Miller spoke about an issue that many fans had been discussing for quite some time, but very few high-profile voices had been willing to address publicly. She argued that taking cheap shots at a player who is vulnerable and not looking is not the same thing as playing tough championship-level defense. Miller pointed out that she competed during one of the most physical eras in women's basketball history, yet players faced opponents directly instead of waiting for opportunities to strike from behind. That is exactly what Miller found so disturbing about Alyssa Thomas's actions. Her comments quickly became a major topic throughout the basketball community. Miller was particularly frustrated by Thomas's response after the incident. Instead of admitting she may have crossed the line or showing any regret, Thomas suggested that fans and the media were unfairly criticizing her. After hearing those remarks, Miller became even more outspoken. She explained that the greatest champions always accept responsibility for their actions, especially when another player's well-being may be at risk. Miller said Thomas's reaction reminded her of competitors who knew they could not match elite talent through skill alone and instead looked for other ways to influence the outcome of games. Her criticism highlighted what she believed was a troubling mindset. At the same time, Miller used the discussion to emphasize Caitlin Clark's extraordinary abilities. She praised Clark's basketball intelligence, clutch shooting, vision, and unique ability to elevate the players around her. According to Miller, those qualities are what separate truly special athletes from everyone else. However, Miller also expressed concern. Rather than focusing entirely on developing her game and reaching her full potential, Clark often finds herself having to deal with unnecessary physical play and questionable tactics. Miller argued that this represents a larger issue within the league. Instead of pushing themselves to match Clark's talent through preparation, effort, and improvement, some players appear more focused on slowing her down through physical intimidation. Miller described that approach as everything that is wrong with competitive basketball. She argued that targeting a player when she is vulnerable is not a sign of strength but a sign of weakness. According to Miller, basketball should reward talent, dedication, and excellence rather than controversial behavior. Her comments sparked widespread debate throughout the sports world and generated strong reactions from fans, analysts, and former players alike. Drawing from her own experiences, Miller compared Clark's situation to the physical challenges she faced during her playing career. However, she noted that Clark is dealing with far greater pressure. At just 22 years old, Clark carries the expectations that come with being one of the most recognizable faces in women's basketball. Every game, every play, and every performance is analyzed by millions of fans and media members. Miller also warned that if the WNBA allows players to repeatedly target its biggest stars without meaningful consequences, it sends the wrong message. She argued that young athletes watching the league should learn lessons about skill, commitment, discipline, and sportsmanship rather than believing controversial tactics are an acceptable way to gain attention. In her view, failing to address these situations creates a dangerous precedent for the future. Perhaps the most important part of Miller's comments involved her prediction about Clark's future. Despite the obstacles, she believes Clark is being strengthened by adversity. Every challenge, every criticism, and every attempt to intimidate her only increases her determination to succeed through talent and hard work. Miller compared this to her own rookie experience, but emphasized that Clark is facing an unprecedented level of scrutiny and attention. For that reason, Miller's support of Clark goes beyond defending one athlete. She believes Clark represents many of the qualities that make basketball great: talent, vision, competitiveness, class, and leadership. At the same time, Miller sees certain behaviors around the league as a threat to the sport's integrity. She believes the WNBA is currently at a crossroads and must decide what type of environment it wants to promote moving forward. According to Miller, the league has two choices. It can continue allowing questionable tactics to remain part of the conversation, or it can protect and highlight its brightest stars while encouraging excellence across the sport. She believes the decision will play a major role in shaping the future of women's basketball. The debate surrounding Miller's comments continues to grow. Some fans agree completely with her perspective, while others believe the criticism has gone too far. Regardless of where people stand, the discussion has expanded far beyond a single game or a single incident. It now touches on larger questions about player safety, league standards, sportsmanship, and the future direction of the WNBA. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark continues to focus on basketball. Rather than allowing controversy or criticism to define her career, she continues to compete and prove why so many people believe she is one of the most important young stars in the sport. Her resilience remains one of the main reasons supporters continue to rally behind her. As interest in the WNBA continues to grow, every game involving Clark receives enormous attention. Television ratings continue to rise, arenas continue to fill, and conversations across social media continue to expand. Every controversial play, every major performance, and every decision by league officials becomes part of a larger story that is helping define one of the most discussed seasons in league history. Now the conversation turns to the fans. Do Cheryl Miller's comments accurately reflect the current state of the league? Is the WNBA doing enough to protect its players while maintaining a competitive environment? And what impact will this entire situation have on Caitlin Clark, Alyssa Thomas, and the future of women's basketball? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy in-depth basketball analysis and discussions about the biggest stories in the sport, be sure to subscribe, enable notifications, and stay tuned for more coverage. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.